Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Alright guys, I'm back and it's Thursday, October 8th, and it is 9:53 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, we are going to get into the news, so let me jump over here and off of this infinity screen, which people hate. And let me just explain to you, because I very much meant to bring a show last night, but as many of you know, I've got a horrific tooth abscess and a broken tooth. The dentist can't do anything about it until after the infection's gone, and I've had a horrible time getting rid of the infection. In fact, it has gone into my blood, and so it's made me very, very, very ill. But today, it seems finally the antibiotics are starting to take effect. So hopefully I'm not going to have to miss anything else, but I was feeling really, really awful last night. Anyway, I'm here now, feeling better, and I'm glad to be with you guys because I miss you when I don't do this, and I know some of you miss me as well, so that's nice. Anyway, let's I do have a few people to thank here. The following donated via coffee: Ron L., Jennifer Manchester, D. Smith, and Jennifer Farquhar. Now, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that. It keeps me doing what I do, and it is always put to very good use. Now, Patreon, Tara Marr increased her pledge. Thank you very much. And this was actually back several days ago, but I don't think I mentioned it. I might be wrong, but I'd rather thank someone twice than not at all. So Bill and Rebecca McIntyre, thank you very much for your support on Patreon. Very much appreciate it. So I think now we are ready to get into the news, and boy, what an interesting day it's been. Let's start off here with this. This is Gerald Craig. Breaking: Rush Limbaugh will not be on air tomorrow, which is actually today. It's treatment week, but guess who will be? And when they say it's treatment week, of course, we know that Rush Limbaugh has cancer and is under treatment. But guess who will be on air tomorrow? Our commander-in-chief himself, President Donald J. Trump, will be leading the world's largest and first ever radio rally to the largest radio audience in history. Now, I don't know if any of you caught that today. I did not, but I would like to see if I can find it so that I can listen to it, because I certainly wasn't able to listen to it at the time, but I would like to, because I bet you it was phenomenal. If anybody was able to listen to that, let us know in the comments what your impression was. All right, now I am just going to go down through these. This is a strange one, if you ask me. But then when it comes to AOC, I think just about everything she does is strange. And everything she stands for is also strange. AOC wrongly claims that the Black Panthers invented school lunch programs. Yeah, I don't think I'd even need to check on that. I think that I would just automatically say, no, they didn't. But apparently AOC claims that they did. On Wednesday, Socialist Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wrongly claimed that the radical Black Panther Party was responsible for the founding of free and reduced price breakfast and lunch programs in public schools. The Washington Free Beacon reports that AOC posted a picture to Instagram saying that Black Panther's free breakfast for school children program, which began in 1969, created pressure that eventually led to the school breakfast program becoming permanently authorized by the federal government in 1975, according to an article from the History Channel that AOC linked to in a subsequent tweet. So, and this is her Twitter page, and a tweet by her that says, "Today in my IG history, how the Black Panthers People Free Food Program led to free and reduced school meal policies nationwide and inspired hashtag Team AOC's COVID food relief operation in 2020. Well, and this was the article. She said, article is cited here. So yeah, that was from history.com. However, as the Free Beacon notes, Federal programs for students to be given breakfast and lunch began many years before the Black Panthers started their program. In 1946, under President Harry Truman, the National School Lunch Program provided free or reduced price lunches to poor students. Began as well. The Child Nutrition Act of 1966 gave the Department of Health and Human Services the authority to federally fund student breakfasts at public schools. It would behoove AOC to research more before giving incorrect information to her millions of followers. No, she won't do that. She will never do that because she doesn't care whether facts are facts. She's never cared. So anyway, let's go back and go on to this. I like this. I'm seeing things like this happening more and more. Oh, this is not what I thought it was. Forgive me. FBI charges 6 people in plot to kidnap Michigan's Governor Gretchen Whitmer, overthrow government. Well, who on earth would want to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer? Seriously, I think they'd bring her back pretty quick. I'm just saying. Now, she is, I don't know. She is definitely wicked. The federal government has charged 6 individuals with conspiring to kidnap Governor Democratic Gretchen Whitmer. I'm sorry, I just have a hard time with this because I'm just wondering, like, why would anybody want to kidnap her? But anyway, according to the FBI documents, the mini militia began plotting earlier this year and was motivated by the belief that Whitmer was repeatedly violating the Constitution by issuing restrictive executive orders for the coronavirus lockdown, which she was. Discussions in early 2020 included the use of 200 men to storm the Capitol building in Lansing to kidnap hostages, including Whitmer. The group also conducted surveillance of the governor's vacation home on at least 2 occasions this summer. The plot was meant to be executed prior to the November 3rd elections, according to the FBI's affidavit. Whitmer is expected to deliver a statement at 3 p.m. Thursday. I bet she is. Here's my thought on this. They're probably... it sounds to me like they're claiming this is a white supremacist group, and probably wouldn't she love that if a white supremacist militia group, tried to kidnap her? Well, that would just make her a hero, wouldn't it? I don't know what to think about this. I really don't. But I'm having a hard time believing it. I'm just saying. All right. Now let's go back and let's look at this, shall we? Of course we shall. Yes, this is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Now, there's so much distortion on here, it makes his head kind of look like a Martian. The weird thing is, remember with Obama, there was always flies. There was flies landing on him or whatever. Because, he is Beelzebub. I don't know, but there's always flies attracted to him. And you know what flies are attracted to? Well, so a fly lands on Mike Pence during the VP debate. All right, it can happen inside. I guess. But there was something odd about this little fly, so let's take a look at it. All right, make it bigger for my tiny phone people. And I don't know, the weird thing is, he looks like a Martian head here. But anyway, let's look. Hang on here. Let's go back. Where did the fly come from? Now let's slow it down. Really slow. Yeah. It fades in, which means it's not an organic fly, it's a CGI fly. And see when they slow it right down, it just appears out of nowhere. Yep, out of nowhere. So what do you think of that? And nobody in the studio seemed to see it. He didn't react to it at all, like try to brush it away, because it wasn't there. Why would they do that? Why would they put a CGI fly to land on his head? Subliminally, it's sending a message that he's full of stuff that flies are attracted to. It's a subliminal message is what it is. And they did that on purpose. That is not an organic fly that was flying around in the studio and just landed on his head. It appears out of nowhere. So to think of the fact that they put a CGI fly in there, which is they can do, you know, it's very, very easy to do, actually. That's insulting. I would be highly insulted if I was Mike Pence, and the network should be very, very ashamed of themselves. But of course they're not, and they're probably sitting around and laughing about it. I'm sure they are. All right. Maybe the CGI fly was to keep the debates fair and balanced. Well, I don't know. I didn't see any fly watching on Fox News last night. And if you go check Fox, took down the debate and you can't find it. So anyway, it's interesting. I don't know what to think about it. All right. And let's look at this. Talk about crazy Nancy. My gosh, she's getting worse. I think as these people, you know, are panicking more and more and more, they are getting very sloppy, and they're getting their nervousness is translating to us, and we're getting how cornered they really feel and are. Oh, that's good coffee. I don't care what anybody says. All right. The 25th Amendment outlines the transfer of power to the vice president if a president is removed, incapacitated, or dies. And Pelosi says she's to introduce legislation related to the 25th Amendment. Now, listen to what this witch has to say here. And this is today. It's hot and fresh. Washington, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi plans to introduce legislation Friday that would create a commission on presidential capacity, which would be involved in presidential transfer of power procedures under the 25th Amendment. The legislation would create the commission to help ensure effective and uninterrupted leadership in the highest office in the executive branch of government, Pelosi's office said in a news release. Pelosi will hold a news conference on the bill with Representative Jamie Raskin at the Capitol Friday morning, the release said. Raskin, a constitutional law expert, introduced a similar measure in a previous Congress. This comes after Pelosi told reporters during her weekly press conference at the Capitol on Thursday to come to the Hill tomorrow because she said we're going to be talking about the 25th Amendment. Asked whether she thought it was time to invoke the 25th Amendment because of President Donald Trump's illness, Pelosi said she didn't want to talk about it right then. If you want to talk about that, we'll see you tomorrow, said Pelosi, who then questioned why the White House has refused to reveal when the president had his last negative COVID-19 test. The 25th Amendment provides for procedures for transferring power to the vice president in the case of the president's death, incapacitation, removal, or resignation. The amendment was ratified and approved in the wake of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. One of its sections provides the vice president and majority of either the cabinet or such other body as Congress may by law provide with a mechanism to transfer power from the president. Sorry, I had ice on my back and it was getting a little chilly. One of the sections provides the vice president and majority of either the cabinet or other body as Congress may provide with the mechanism to transfer power from the president. In an interview immediately after her press conference, Pelosi suggested that the president may not be thinking clearly because of the drugs he has been taking while being treated for the disease. Well, she's been an alcoholic for 40 years. And she's been able to, and nobody's questioned, well, a lot of people have questioned her sanity, but, you know, nobody has claimed that she can't do her job. I mean, seriously. I mean, she goes through, what, $1,000 of booze a week in the airplane, just back and forth? Unbelievable. She continued, there are those who say when you're on steroids or have COVID-19, there may be some impairment of judgment. Well, her judgment's been impaired for 40 years. Seriously. I mean, by Captain Morgan and, Colonel Vodka, I guess. Anyway, she can, so this is Donald Trump tweeting, said, Crazy Nancy is the one. Okay, wait. Samantha Marika said, Nancy Pelosi's comment about the 25th Amendment just tells you that the Democrats are really plotting to get Trump out while he wins, once he wins. And Donald Trump responded to that and said, Crazy Nancy is the one who should be under observation. They don't call her crazy for nothing. Well, that's true. And they do call her Crazy Nancy. I do. Probably a lot of you do too. Because she acts that way. And, you know, the love of money is the root of all evil. I know a lot of people say money is the root of all evil. The Bible does not say that. It's the love of money. Money is just a tool. The same $10 can buy, well, maybe not $10, but less $50 can buy milk for your baby, or it can buy you some crack cocaine. It's not the money itself that's evil, but when you love money, as she does, and power, it is very corrupting, and that is what is clouding her judgment, along with Captain Morgan and Colonel Vodka. Yeah. So anyway, down here, Trump says, in a freewheeling interview on Fox Business Network on Thursday morning, Trump praised his medical care and downplayed the dangers of the coronavirus, saying he thought his infection would have gone away by itself without treatment. I don't think I'm contagious at all, Trump added. I stand very far away from everybody. Whether I was or not, I still wouldn't go to a rally if contagious. Trump is still within the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's isolation window following the onset of symptoms last Thursday. CDC guidelines stipulate that people should isolate for 10 days from the point of showing symptoms and 20 days in severe cases. So there you go. But of course, Nancy's going to try pushing. He needs to be out of office because he had COVID and he had to take some drugs, and we don't know. Anyway, let's go on now. All right, this LifeSite, by LifeSite News, Trump, Biden, and Dems support execution of newborns. Well, Biden and the Dems do support execution of newborns, right? They approve of abortion up to and including birth and even after birth. You know, that's evil. So, anyway, October 6, 2020, Democrats' abortion policy is so extreme that they support execution of newborns, President Donald Trump wrote on Twitter today. And here is his tweet. Wow, Joe Biden just took a more liberal position on Roe v. Wade than Elizabeth Warren at her highest. He also wants to pack our great United States Supreme Court. This is what the Dems will do. Remember, as they try changing positions before elections end, get out and vote. And at a NBC town hall in Miami this week, a questioner asked what Joe Biden would do to protect women's so-called reproductive rights if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed to the Supreme Court, and she will be. Biden responded that should Coney Barrett be confirmed and overturn Roe versus Wade, the 1973 U.S. Supreme Court decision imposing abortion on demand across the country, the only responsible thing to do would be to pass legislation making Roe the law of the land. That's what I would do. Trump followed up this tweet by pointing out Biden's 2017 endorsement of Virginia Governor Ralph Northam. Biden and Democrats just clarified the fact that they are fully in favor of very late-term abortion right up until the time of birth and beyond, which would be execution. Biden even endorsed the governor of Virginia, who stated this clearly for all to hear: get out and vote. Absolutely. And vote in person, please. If you are at all able, do it in person. Northam's January 2019 comments on late-term abortion seem to imply the possibility of infanticide. Trump has periodically reminded voters of the radical pro-abortion stance that is characteristic of Democrat Party politicians. In an August 2019 campaign speech, he said that virtually every top Democrat also now supports late-term abortion, ripping babies straight from the mother's womb right up until the moment of birth. He then recalled Northam's comments before saying that he has asked Congress to prohibit extreme late-term abortions because Republicans believe that every child is a sacred gift of God. And indeed, every child is. All right, let's go on because there's more. There's always more. Yeah, this is just bizarre, but it's a Pelosiism. So, yeah, absolutely nuts, that woman. Pelosi, I wouldn't go anywhere near the White House. It's one of the most dangerous places in the country. Yeah, okay. Oh, it's just the, all right here. Well, let's look at this because we can. Oh, cannot be viewed on this site. Watch on Air TV. I don't know. Let's go try to watch it. Here we go.
Children, what our actions have and how it affects the children.
Well, one should also say that the doctors might want to step in and see how much of the medication is working here, because they're steroids. I've been on steroids. I know what they do to your thinking. And so that's something someone should be really monitoring, because, you know, it's not easy when someone is in this kind of steroid high. When was the last time you had an actual conversation with him? Do you? I remember the last time I saw you do it on television, and it didn't seem like it went that well. So is it time to pick up the phone? Do you want to go over to the White House? What's the best way to work this out now?
I wouldn't go anywhere near the White House. It's one of the most dangerous places in the country, both in terms of the assault that it makes on truth as well as health. Last time I had an interaction with the president was the State of the Union address, and after that, you know, I tore up the speech and all, but after that, I said to my staff, I said, I think he was medicated. There's something wrong with how he came on and presented. I said yesterday to my colleagues, I said, there are those who say that steroids have an impact on people's thinking. I don't know, but there are those healthcare providers who say that. Also, if you have the coronavirus, it has an impact as well. So the combination is something that should be viewed. But again, there are enablers around the president who really should know better. And the Republicans in Congress have enabled so much of this to happen without saying, look, we're here to address the needs of the American people, crush the virus, honor our heroes, put money in the pockets of the American people, support our elections with funding to make sure that they are safe for people to go so they're not risking their health to do that, honor the census. These are areas of disagreement that we were hoping to find agreement on, including safety in the workplace. Speaker, so it's a challenging time.
Speaker, in his tweet yesterday.
Unbelievable. She's talking about the State of the Union address and when she's ripping up the speech. So she's not just saying that, oh, he's incapacitated now because he's, you know, on these steroids and whatever, which I don't think he's taking at this point. And she's saying at the State of the Union address that, well, I was saying to people that I thought he was medicated. So she's trying to plant that in the minds of people. That State of the State of the Union address, everybody agreed that it was phenomenal. Everyone except for Pelosi, that had to rip it up in front of the world, which made America looks stupid, but she doesn't care about that. No, she doesn't care about that at all. I can't imagine hating someone as much as she hates Trump. Seriously. Because when you are harboring that kind of hate, it's like an acid that just eats through. And it does more damage to you than the person that you're angry with or that you hate. Yes, I should be cautious about saying I hate people because I hate their actions. Absolutely, I hate their actions. And Pelosi's one of those people. I don't get how somebody can be that full of hate and anger and animosity towards someone. Especially, she speaks to him like he's this petulant little kindergartner, and it's very insulting to me because that's the president of the United States. Arguably one of the most powerful men in the world. Absolutely. Well, absolutely one of the most powerful, arguably the most powerful. So I don't know where she gets off speaking about him like he's a little kindergartner that she needs to discipline. Anyway. All right. Yeah, and then there's this, which is good. This is from yesterday, but it's still good. It's fresh because I kept saran wrap over it. America's largest police-owned media company endorses Trump for president. We've never been formally endorsed. We have never before formally endorsed a candidate. Today, that changes. Now, why do you think all the police are endorsing Trump? Yeah, could be because Trump stands behind them and appreciates them. Yeah, I think that's probably it. As riots, looting, arson, and violence against innocent citizens and law enforcement officers continue to spread like cancer across America, law enforcement officers are making it clear that voters only have one choice when it comes to electing a president willing to restore law and order in America. On July 15th, the National Association of Police Organizations announced its endorsing of President Trump re-election campaign, citing his steadfast and very public support during a time of unfair and inaccurate opprobrium being directed at law enforcement officers. Our endorsement recognizes your steadfast and very public support of our men and women on the front lines, especially during this time of unfair and inaccurate opprobrium being directed at our members by so many. NAPO said in its endorsement letter, NAPO is pleased to support your re-election campaign for president, and we are confident of your continued strong support of America's law enforcement community. And of that, I have no doubt. I believe that he supports them now. He's always supported them, and that he will continue to support them. Joe Biden, not so much. Not so much. On Saturday, the National Latino Peace Officers Association stunned Democrats when they announced they were throwing their support behind President Trump. New American reports the NLPO's endorsement of Trump is reflective of the president's growing support among the critical Latino voting bloc. That bloc is approaching 20% of the U.S. Electorate. So that's good news, too. In a letter of support sent to the president on Saturday, President Alan Alvarez and Secretary Darren Fulton explained why they support him. The NLPOA advocacy supports you because of your fierce and unwavering support for the law enforcement community. In these difficult times for our profession and the repeated calls to defund us, you have continued to have our backs and voice your approval of the men and women of law enforcement. And he has, and I think we all should. Does that mean that I think that all police are good? No, there are some real bad apples out there. But by and large, they have a difficult job to do. And I would say the majority of them do that job. The New York City Police Department Union also endorsed President Trump in mid-August while Black Lives Matter Antifa rioters were tearing up the city and residents were fleeing to other states. Fox News reports the New York Police Department union faced blowback from local Democrats after it endorsed President Trump's re-election amid budget cuts and tensions between police and city lawmakers. PBA President Pat Lynch said it was the first time he could recall the group ever endorsing a president. I have 36 years on this job, 21 as the president of this fine organization. I cannot remember when we've ever endorsed for office of the president of the United States until now. That's how important this is. So, So now law enforcement today is for the first time ever endorsing a president prior to an election. The largest police-owned media company wrote, "Law enforcement today proudly stands for the more than 800,000 men and women who serve on the front lines in our law enforcement community and their supporters. We are unapologetic for our support of law enforcement and are outraged by the way police are being treated in the wake of one police officer's egregious conduct. This treatment has come from Black Lives Matter activists, Antifa thugs, Hollywood hypocrites, and political hacks with D's after their names. This year, for the first time, Law Enforcement Today is proud to make our first ever endorsement for President Trump. Yay! Frankly, this was an easy decision. From our perspective, there's no other choice." Well, you know what? From our perspective, there is no other choice here either. So I think that is enough of that. But let me tell you, like, when you hear all of these people coming out and throwing their support behind President Trump, and when you see how many people his rallies pull, Kamala can't pull an audience like that. Biden certainly can't. So, but yet they want us to believe that it's neck and neck? Come on, really? I don't know what world these people are living in. Their own little fantasy world that they want us all to believe. That's how sick they are. They live in this fantasy world that they create, and gosh darn it, they're going to make us believe in it. Well, I don't. And I'm not buying it. All right. Now, I want to get to this, and you know why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I said this way back, actually. I've been saying this for months and months and months and months and months because everybody says, no, it's not going to be mandatory. The vaccine, it's not going to be mandatory. And remember I said, well, no, Trump's not going to make it mandatory. I don't believe that. I don't believe he'll make it mandatory, but they'll make it mandatory if you want to fly, if you want to go anywhere, if you want to work. Well, here we go. Airports begin testing COVID passport that will record whether someone has been vaccinated before travel. Now, I told you that was coming. I knew that would happen. It's all part of their plan. Not Trump's plan, the globalist plan. All right. And it says phone app records whether traveler is corona compliant. It's all about being compliant. That's the key word. Passengers on United Airlines and Cathay Pacific traveling out of Heathrow Airport will begin testing a new COVID passport that in the future will check if someone has been vaccinated before they travel. The technology is called Common Pass and will let people travel without being quarantined if they download an app to their phone which contains a negative COVID test or a vaccine certificate. The phone software is a digital health pass, which can hold a certified COVID-19 test status or show someone has been vaccinated in future in a way designed to satisfy various governments' different regulations, reports the Daily Mail. Overseen by the Commons Project Foundation, part of the World Economic Forum, the pass works by having flyers upload their COVID test or vaccination certificate to the app, which then generates a QR code that can be scanned by airline staff and border officials. Well, you know what? Makes me want to go out and get my pilot's license. Seriously, because you won't be able to travel unless you're vaccinated. If I had the money to go out and get my pilot's license, I would in a heartbeat, I'm telling you. And then I can pick y'all up, you know. I'm just kidding. Anyway, overseen by the Commons Project. Okay, I just read that. Without the ability to trust COVID-19 tests and eventually vaccine records across international borders, many countries will feel compelled to retain full travel bans and mandatory quarantines for as long as the pandemic persists, which will be until they've all turned us all into chattel or cattle, one or the other. For as long as the pandemic persists, said Dr. Bradley Perkins, Chief Medical Officer for the Commons Project. The issue of whether people who refuse to take a coronavirus inoculation will be refused international or even internal travel is likely to come to fore as the world moves closer to a COVID-19 vaccine. Didn't I say that? I said that. I hate to tell you, I told you so. As we highlighted last month, British Conservative MP Tobias Ellwood urged Prime Minister Boris Johnson to use the military to ship the vaccines across the country and set up regional distribution hubs, as well as developing a national database to track progress and issue the vaccine certificates. The MP said the vaccine certificates will probably have to be internationally recognized in order to allow international travel. Earlier this year, the mayor of Nice also called for citizens to be required to carry health passports if they wish to travel, while Germany is also considering mandating coronavirus immunity cards that would allow those who have developed antibodies to COVID-19 to have more freedom than the as yet uninfected. So it's scary, if you ask me. It is scary because I don't know about you, but my family's here in Canada, but I consider my home in the US. So that's an issue for me because I need to be able to travel. And yeah, anyway, let's go on now because we can, and we want to get as much in as we can tonight. And let me see. Yeah, let's look at this because we can. Yeah, hundreds of pounds of mail ballots found in alarming location. Inspectors investigating alarming election discovery in dumpster. Yeah, but wait, didn't the Democrats say, oh, it's perfectly safe? There's never been any fraud associated with ballots, mail-in ballots. It's ridiculous. Really? Seem to be finding a lot of them lately, haven't they? Wonder what that's all about. Bundles of mail that included mail-in ballots cast for November election were found in New Jersey dumpster last week, according to police and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. The Epic Times reported the incident occurred October 2nd in the Bergen County community of North Arlington, where numerous bundles of mail were found discarded in a dumpster. The outlet spoke to two officials who confirmed the jarring discovery. It wasn't just a few stacks of envelopes either. The person who made the discovery, identified by the Epic Times as Howard Dinger, described the discarded mail as being hundred of pounds worth. I mean, hundreds of pounds worth, I think they mean. I remember I told you all the editors are missing. I couldn't believe it when I found it. That's why I felt it necessary to call the police and report it. He wrote in Facebook post, the Epic Times reported. According to the Epic Times, the post was taken down after the outlet contacted Dinger to try and set up an interview and get permission to use the photo he'd published. North Arlington Police Chief Scott Hedenberg told the Epic Times by mail that officers in his department found the ballots in the dumpster after they were reported. Officers on scene did observe loose rubber-banded bundles of mail as described by the caller, which were secured on scene, he wrote. USPS spokesperson George Flood also confirmed the find. This matter was then turned over to our Office of Inspector General. We are unable to comment further at this time, Flood told the Epic Times in an email. No matter results from the investigation by the USPS Office of Inspector General, the incident is another stain on the integrity of the upcoming election and just the latest in recent weeks. More than 2,000 Los Angeles County voters received faulty ballots this week that gave them no option to vote for president, according to a report from the Los Angeles Times. More than 100,000 voters in the New York City boroughs of Brooklyn received absentee ballots with return envelopes that had the wrong addresses and names printed on them a week ago. 2 weeks ago, a number of military ballots in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, were found discarded in the trash. An investigation found that those that had been unsealed were all cast for President Donald Trump. In July, NPR reported that more than 50,000 ballots cast in primary elections in states throughout the country were disqualified for arriving after deadlines or other issues. Likewise for California, where 100,000 March primary ballots were rejected for mistakes, according to the Associated Press. Of course, Democrats and the establishment media have downplayed the news of these and other examples of problems with mail-in voting. The list goes on, and we're apparently expected to just take the media's line about mail-in ballots being safe and go about our business. President Donald Trump commented on the mail-in ballot irregularities on Tuesday night, stating in a Twitter post, "This will be the most corrupt election in American history." And here he is. He says 11,000 North Carolina residents get incorrect voter registration forms. 2,000 LA county voters received faulty ballots with no way to vote for president. Many others throughout USA. Here we go. This will be the most corrupt election in American history. It's time to blow the whistle. Enough is enough with the mail-in voting scheming from Democrats. Since March, the country has seen the effects of a global pandemic, the government's overreaction to it, and race-related riots. We've also seen the economic and psychological fallout from the pandemic's business shutdowns and the complete politicization of sports, threats to undermine the Supreme Court, and our president is currently on the mend after he contracted the Chinese virus that the mainstream media is, by and large, upset hasn't killed him yet. We've been put through a lot. Is it too much to ask for us to cap the year off with a fair election? Well, apparently it is. Apparently it is for Democrats, who appear intent on further terrorizing this country. Raising doubts about the election is their latest attempt at throwing us off kilter so they can pick up a victory from the ashes. State officials are allowing the system to be overloaded with the ballots, and state courts are ruling that deadlines for the votes to be validated must be extended well beyond Election Day. The party of Pelosi, Schumer, and Ocasio-Cortez wants to create so much chaos that it will be able to snatch up an election victory next month, and they fully intend to get away with it. All year, they've attacked cultural and governmental norms, and now they've come after the election. Conservatives and patriots can't surrender an inch to them. Voters should show up in person while also demanding the conservation of election integrity by calling to ensure that those potentially fraudulent ballots are disqualified. Conservatives need to fight for the integrity of the election with the intensity leftists show in their rebellion against America's founding principles. The future of the Senate, the House, the presidency, the judiciary, and the country, as we've known it, hangs in the balance. Yes, it does. So let's go back and let me just check here for a moment to make sure that everything is still recording fine, and it is. So we're good to go here. You know why I check. Okay, and let's come back and see what else we can get into. All right, let's look at this just because we can. And we will. Here we go. President Trump uses masterful negotiation skills to taunt Speaker Pelosi over COVID relief package. Now, this is from yesterday, but as I've told you, it's still fresh because I put saran wrap on it and put it in the fridge. All right, let's go. Not long after President Donald Trump made the bombshell announcement on Tuesday that he would be suspending talks about any further coronavirus relief packages until after the general election, a lot of people reached out and asked me why he would make such a move. While I initially struggled to provide an answer, I knew, without a doubt, that it was nothing short of a brilliant strategy that he would execute at some point. According to Fox News, that's exactly what it was. As several hours later, the president made an impressive political chess move that put House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in quite the bind. after providing ample time for the mainstream media to have a complete meltdown over his announcement to suspend relief negotiations, Trump fired up a tweet storm that gave him total leverage over Democrats, saying that he would be absolutely thrilled to sign standalone bills that not only gave Americans a much-needed 1,200 check, but also pumped $25 billion into the struggling airline industry. The House and Senate should immediately approve $25 billion for airline payroll support and $135 billion for Paycheck Protection Program for small businesses. Both of these will be fully paid for with unused funds from the CARES Act. Have this money, I will sign now, Trump tweeted. Moments before that tweet, he signaled that he would quickly sign the Paycheck Protection Relief if truly is truly interested in helping out Americans who need the help right now. If I am sent a standalone bill for stimulus checks, 1,200, they will go out to our great people immediately. I am ready to sign right now. Are you listening, Nancy? Trump tweeted. Trump, an expert negotiator, to say the very least, taunted Pelosi on Wednesday morning, putting tremendous pressure on the Democratic speaker to take the necessary actions to get the bill to the president's desk as quickly as possible. Move fast. I am waiting to sign, Trump tweeted. Yeah. That's why we love Trump. That right there. And look, move fast. I'm waiting to sign. And let's come down here. Prior to Trump's hospitalization for COVID-19, an ongoing battle between Republicans and Democrats in Congress stalled further talks on passing a fourth corona relief package with Republicans, including the president, blaming Democrats for adding too much pork that would only serve to bail out the badly damaged Democrat-run cities across the country. The GOP even had a name for Pelosi's absurd addition to the bill, calling it a blue state bailout, which is really what it amounted to. But just as everyone believed President Trump was down and out while admitted as a patient at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, he was actually devising an ingenious plan to force Democrats to work with the GOP on helping those who actually need it and not use the relief package as a band-aid for failing blue states. And why are they failing? Well, we all know why they're failing. Well played, Mr. President. Well played. I think we'd all agree with that. All right. Now, what else can we get into? Oh, stuff. Lots of stuff. All right. Yes, and look at this. This is awful, really awful. I feel so sorry for this couple. I really do. St. Louis couple who pointed guns at protesters indicted by grand jury. This is from yesterday, but I have also heard that someone has said that they are going to pardon them. I guess it would be the, I don't know who it would be. I can't remember now, but I read that somewhere today. So the St. Louis couple who pointed guns at protesters outside their house in a June incident that was caught on video were indicted Tuesday by a grand jury in St. Louis. Mark and Patricia McCloskey were charged with 2 felonies, unlawful use of a weapon and evidence tampering after they stood outside their own home, on Portland Place, a private street, on June 28th and pointed firearms at hundreds of protesters, some of them armed, who marched by chanting and threatening the couple as they made their way over to St. Louis Mayor Lydia Crusen's residence to demand her resignation. Mark McCloskey, 63, held a semi-automatic weapon, while Patricia McCloskey, 61, stood beside him and held a semi-automatic handgun, the prosecutor's office said. So anyway, we all know that the story of this. It says the group began yelling obscenities and threats to harm both individuals, police said. The indictment against the couple is sealed. Anyway, but I have heard that there is someone that is going to be pardoning them because this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you and I know that it's all political. It's all political. They didn't do anything. They were armed. First of all, that was a private street in a gated community, so those people were trespassing, and they were trespassing on this couple's property. They had guns. Several of these protesters had guns. So yeah, I don't think they did anything wrong, personally. They didn't shoot anybody. They were just had their guns ready in case. So I don't find a problem with that. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I think it's a huge travesty of justice, as is so much these days. All right, now, let me see what else we have here. Well, let's look at this. Yeah, and this correction, but breaking, shredded Pennsylvania mail-in ballot applications were discovered in a trailer. This is another one. This is another one. This isn't New Jersey. This is in Pennsylvania. The applications were for real Donald Trump, for Donald Trump. So yeah, we know that these were all these ballots that were found were for Trump. How do you like that? This is not okay. No, it's not even close to being okay. And who's doing this? Who's doing it? We know who it is. It's the Democrats. They don't even know what they're wishing for. They really don't. They want Trump out, but they have no idea what they're wishing for because they have no idea what they get. Anyway. Oh yes, and this too. I could not believe this. I mean, I can believe it because I can believe just about anything these days. But this person, this right here, let me come down here a little bit. This is private property. All of this right here, private property. And this person put on their own property a giant Trump sign. Okay, well, what's wrong with that? It's on your own property, right? Well, apparently California bureaucrats thought there was something wrong with it. California bureaucrats knocked down giant Trump sign on private property, claimed it was a safety hazard. Yeah, you saw that it was in the middle of nowhere on his property, right? Yeah. Who's going to be hurt by that sign? I'd like to know. Officials from the California Department of Transportation knocked down giant white letters spelling Trump on the hillside of someone's private property on Tuesday, citing it as a life and safety issue. This was a life and safety issue because there were concerns about distracting driving. Can you believe that? Distracting driving. Well, then you better take down all of the signs off the highways, every single one of them, because someone might get distracted while they're driving, reading those signs. Take down every one of them, every single one of them. These people are not smart. They're just not. They are absolutely, they're either just not smart or they're just plain wicked. And I think it's the latter. So, and this is Molly. The LA Times reports on the massive Trump sign on a hill near the 405 that says that state authorities went on private property to take it down because they claimed the political speech was a visual distraction to drivers. What? Yeah, that's what I said. What? I mean, why is that sign distracting, but none of the other signs on the highway are distracting? Why is that? Why aren't the letters on the sides of trucks that go by you on the highway? Why isn't that distracting? I don't know. It's that Trump sign, man. It's the Trump sign. It's evil. Take it down. Everybody's getting distracted. It's going to kill everybody that goes by it. The sign was located at the Sepulveda Pass Hills, just outside the largely blue and Democratic-run Los Angeles, adjacent to the Highway 405. The first report of the sign came right before 7 a.m. from someone who was apparently concerned it could spark a blaze following multiple destructive brush fires in the past few years. What? How could the sign spark a blaze? Please, somebody tell me. Anyway, I guess Trump, that sign, just all those letters together, when you put them together, apparently it shoots out sparks into the atmosphere that starts fires. I don't know, but it's dangerous. Take it down. Despite its distance from the highway, the California Highway Patrol reported the sign as a traffic hazard as people on the nearby highway began to decelerate to take pictures of the sign during their morning commutes. By 9 a.m. the same morning, Caltrans entered the private property and laid it down so it wasn't a visual distraction. The sign was not fully removed, but is no longer erected on the hillside. Unbelievable. And this person says someone put up this sign, Trump sign, overnight along the 405 highway near the Getty. This is right in the middle of what's largely considered one of the most liberal cities in America. Well, it didn't last long, did it? No, it didn't. And then she put, update, the sign is down. Don't think they were going to leave that up, do you? The California Department of Transportation did not respond for comment, so it's unclear if the owner of the property was notified before the sign was disassembled. It is also unclear who erected the sign in the first place. Probably the owner. I'm just saying. All right. Well, there you go. Crazy California. Now, when I say that, don't you guys that are listening to this, I know we have listeners from California, they're fine people, and there's many fine people in California. I'm not referring to Californians lumped together. I'm referring to the leadership of California, which is crazy. No reflection on you guys. All right, let's go, and because time's a-wasting. And the Department of Justice has just charged a mail carrier for dumping mail, including ballots, in 2 dumpsters in New Jersey. Now, we read about this, so, and there they are. Yep. Bet they were all for Trump. Bet you any money. Funny how that happens. And I think that is going to be it. Oh, yes, I wanted to show you this, too. This is a quote by Nancy, crazy Nancy. When the time comes, I have the ability to lead our nation. If the president and vice president is unable, our democracy turns to the Speaker of the House. The American people are looking for a leader who understands American values. I am willing to lead the American people into the future of our nation. Nancy Pelosi, Speaker, House of Representatives. Now, why is she saying that? Well, if anything happened to Trump and anything happened to Pence, she would be the president of the United States. Now let that sink in, because that is terrifying. Quite frankly, it's just as terrifying as Joe Biden. Maybe more so. I don't know. It'd be a close neck and neck tie there. So anyway, I am going to stop here and for the evening, and now I truly believe I will be back tomorrow, and maybe I'll be feeling well enough to do a double header. That would be something. I would love that, because I know I've been kind of missing days here and there. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and please keep seeking truth, and come back and seek it with me, because, I enjoy your company. So, you guys, sleep well. Good night.